welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I will show you how to make a removable stitch marker. Great for marking the right side of your work, or if you're a crocheter, this is a great tool for you. If you want to have a full list of all the materials you will need for this project, please take a look at the video description box right down there below and you'll find a link to the blog post I did for this video. While you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button, as my kids say, because that's the best way for you to show me that you love the videos I'm putting together. Now, before we move very far along, let's go ahead and take a look at what you need to get started. The first thing I'm going to point out is you'll notice that I have everything on a beading mat, and this is a bead-along beading mat. It is sort of like felt. It's just as a way to really catch the beads so that they don't go flying all around your table. Along with the beading mat, you are going to need some crimp beads, either in a size 2 or a size 1. It all depends on what you want to use, but you want to get some crimping beads. You'll also need a crimping tool. This is how we actually crimp these beads, is with this tool, and this is by Beadalon as well. You will need some wire cutters, and I highly recommend getting cutters that have kind of the spring action here in the center. It just makes things so much easier. Just a little tidbit from me to you. You'll need some Beadalon beading string wire. Now I'm using 19 strand beading wire right here. I've also used 7-strand beading wire and it works just as well. So I will leave that up to you on which one you will want to use. Along with the beading wire, you will need a lobster clasp. So this is actually the clasp that goes onto your work. So a lobster clasp. And you will need some decorative beads that you want to use. The biggest thing to think about when you're choosing your beads is you want to make sure you're not choosing beads that are super heavy, because as you think about it, this lobster clasp is going to clasp onto the front of your knitting or onto your crochet, and it's going to add extra weight. So you want to make sure you're choosing beads that don't weigh a ton, okay? One thing you will notice is if you've watched the video I did for making stitch markers for your larger knitting needles, these are the similar tools. The only thing extra you'll need is the lobster clasp. So if you've already made yourself some really great stitch markers just like these, this is a great way to make yourself just that one more stitch marker that will match the ones you've already made, and it can signify the front of your work. Now that we know the materials, let's go ahead and jump in and make this really fun stitch marker. As I mentioned, you will make these stitch markers very similarly to the way you made the stitch markers for the larger knitting needles. The difference here is that we don't really care if the stitch marker works around the knitting needle. We just want it to dangle from our lobster claw. So to begin, we will take our beading wire and we will cut off enough beading wire to accommodate the beads we will have dangling from our lobster clasp. So you can guesstimate that out, and I think that's pretty good. I would say that's pretty all right. And then go ahead and take your wire cutters and slip your beading wire just like so. If you're going to make a set of these, you could go ahead and take your beading wire at this point that you just snipped, take a measuring tape or a ruler of some sort and measure the length of wire you just cut. Mine is just under 5 inches, if that helps for you guys. Once you've done that, what we want to do now is we want to thread our lobster claw directly onto that wire, okay? So now that lobster claw is thread on there, and that's what's going to hang from our work, whether you're crocheting or you're going to use this for the right side of your fabric. Now you just pair up or fold together the ends of the wire, and we will take our clamp bead or our and we will take our crimp bead and place it through, or place the wire through the crimp bead. This is kind of hard to show you on camera because it's such a small little bead. You just want to make sure you get it through both ends of the wire. And this is where the crimp bead size really makes a difference. If your wire is too thick to go through the crimp bead, it could be that you need one just a little bit bigger. So this one is giving me just a little bit of trouble, so I'm going to take that one off, and I will just grab one of the other ones here. You know, you never know. It's just really simple trial and error, and I'm simply going to thread one of those on. Okay, so now I have my crimp bead thread onto my wire. You can see right there. And what I will do is I'm going to pull this crimp bead up relatively close to the lobster clasp. Not super close because I really don't want that wire to bend completely, but I want it close enough that it's not going to make this piece move around too much. So I think that's a pretty good amount. Again, I'm just kind of guesstimating. Once you get it to the point you want, that's where you're going to grab your crimping tool here. And you can see there is a front hole and a back hole. We're going to start off with the back one, and we will put the crimping bead into that back portion. You can see I just put it back there. And what I will do is I will squeeze the tool, and it actually makes that crimping bead now sort of like a smiley face, like a U. And then if I undo it, move the crimp bead up to the front, and rotate it 90 degrees, that front part of my crimping tool, as it squeezes together, it actually pulls together like the two outsides of the U, and it pulls it together like this. So now that crimp bead is all around my wire. Okay, so once that is set in place, all we need to do now is thread our beads that we want to have dangling from our removable stitch marker through the wire here. When we bring the bead up, you want to make sure that it does not go over top of that crimp bead, that it goes up pretty nicely. If you find you have chosen a bead that does go over it, this is where you could use a seed bead that has a really small opening and just thread that up really close to the crimping bead first, and then start adding your decorative beads. So that bead works just fine, and I'm just going to sit here and grab some of my fun beads, and these ones are all made out of wood. They are really light and they don't weigh very much at all, so they are not going to add a lot of extra weight to my actual project as they're all added on here. Let's see here, let's have a little fun. I like color, so let's add a bunch of color and make this just something neat here. Actually, you know what, I want to do an oval one between those two circulars. This is where you can really have a good deal of fun. And it's fun if you go to the store and just get the lengths of beads. Like, let me see here. So if you got yourself like a length of beads like this, and you could use each one of these as like a big decorative bead, and then get some, I bought these to go with that one. These are really super bright. So, I mean, you could just have fun with the different beads in the beading aisle. Trust me, you will not be the only one there grabbing loads of beads. All right, so that's kind of long, but you know what? I kind of dig it. I think I want one more circular one there at the end. Maybe I'll do green. Why not? Let's play with this. All right, so I like that, and it looks really close to the way those look. It's going to dangle quite a bit, but I'm all right with that. Once I get it to the length I want it to be, that's where I will use my next crimping bead, and I will put that through the wire again, or put the wire through the crimping bead. I think that's the appropriate way. Oh, look, those nails come in handy. All right, so I put the crimping bead right up close, and this is where I get to use my crimping tool again. So I bring my crimping tool in place. I start with the back one and squeeze it closed, so now it's a smiley face. Turn it 90 degrees and then squeeze it through the front. Give it a couple good squeezes, and there we go. So now I have this bit here dangling. Well, I don't want that to snag my yarn, right? So what I do is take your wire cutters and you just come up here as close to the crimping bead as possible, nip the wire right off. You can even take a sander and sand that if it's rough. But other than that, you have yourself a nice little removable stitch marker. Let's see how this would look on my work in progress here. I could just snip this right in place, and I can tell that that would be the front of my work. Pretty easy, right? This is a great way to really round out your stitch marker set, and you can have fun. And as I said, those of you who are crocheters, this is a great tool for your crochet to be able to mark your stitches. The lobster claws come in different sizes. You can use a small one like this, or maybe you want to get a bigger one because that's just easier for your hands to handle. Totally up to you, whatever works, just have fun with it. Go out, get yourself lots of beads, get yourself some really simple tools and some beading wire, and you can have a really great set of stitch markers, right? Aren't they so cute? They're so adorable. I hope you enjoyed this video and you will run out and get yourself some beads and make some stitch markers, and don't forget to share with me what you are using your stitch markers on. Take a picture of it. Share it with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Ravelry. I don't care. I just want to see your stitch markers because they're so cool. I hope this adds a little bling to your knitting and your crochet, and I will talk to you soon. I'm Marley Bird. Catch you on the flip side. Now that you know how to make these really fun stitch markers, why not check out some of my other videos right here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel and see where you can use them, both in crochet and your knitting.